Okay, ready for a new video for Science in the Break. See you in a bit. I go inside.
Why you should join Twitter, why should you make an account. Twitter is a great place to do that because you can easily connect with other researchers, and you have made this first tweet that is really captivating and you have caught the attention. The thumb has stopped scrolling. I would say there's no going back. we have all learned this virtual way of communicating and working and collaborating. So,
Hi everyone and welcome to a new episode of Science in the Break. Today we have as a guest Laura Maia from the University of Jyväskylä, and she will be our advisor for giving a suggestion about Twitter, how to handle Twitter, especially for early career researchers. I would like to know a bit more about yourself.
My name is Laura Maia Suuraskola and I am a communication specialist here in the University of Jyväskylä in the Faculty of Sport and Health Sciences. And my job includes this science communications in the faculty, and I take care of the social media platforms of the faculty and so forth.
Why an early career researcher should spend time on Twitter? Because when you are on social, then you need to spend some time, you need to invest some time, and you are busy because you need to do your PhD.
True. And I think the first thing is why you should join Twitter, why should you make an account, because I've come up, some people are like, you don't need Twitter, it's just this time-consuming thing, and they don't start up an account at all. So I think that's the first thing to talk is why you should be there at all. And I think the major point is that the conversations about the topic, about the researcher's topic, will take place whether or not the researcher is in Twitter, and would it be better if the experts are involved in those discussions. So I think that's the most important point when someone is considering, well, should I be there, do I want to be there? And I'm like, yes, you need to be there to keep up the conversation and keep it on the right track, let's say like this.
Yes.
And so why should you spend time there? It's really, some people just say that it's not allowed to use like this work time on Twitter, and I think that shouldn't be the case, because societal impact is so important in the researcher's career. It's just in our work plans you need to write down the societal impact, how much time do you spend during your work days. But the social media and communication stuff, it's not in our case fully open there, that this is the time you can use on social media, but still it's a very important part of the job. So that's why you should really take time during your work day and feel good about it, because some people actually feel bad. Oh my god, now I'm on Twitter during work day again. But you are actually joining the conversation of your field, so it shouldn't be wrong.
Yes, but then you mentioned about the benefit that a researcher can bring to the topic itself. Because supposedly you are an expert, so you can bring your own expertise. If I think in a more, let's say, selfish point of view for improving the career of the researcher, do you see also pros in that direction?
Yeah, I do, because a young researcher needs to build up this reputation and build up this audience for his or her research topic and for their work. So the Twitter is a great place to do that, because you can easily connect with other researchers and build up your reputation and audience block by block. So yeah.
When you start on Twitter, maybe you are me as well, a bit naive, and I think, okay, I will have 1,000 followers, and then I started, there is my mom, my dad, my best. So one question is, do you have any tips for building up your network?
Yeah, the first thing is to start posting because people seem to think that they join Twitter and the next day there is 1,000 followers and that's it, but you need to really be active. Twitter is a social media platform where this kind of emphasizes that you need to be really active to be seen and to build up the reputation. So first of all, start posting. It doesn't have to be grand. It's good in Twitter because the tweets are so short, so you cannot make these really grand posts all the time. So just start doing that and start following other users because usually people kindly follow you back. So that's the second thing. And third thing is to tag people on your posts. Of course, if they are related to that topic, not some random people, but if they are, if you have some, let's say, article or news release that you have your the co-authors or some other people like that, you just tag them, and so the post can be seen on their feed and you will be seen more broadly. So those are the three major points, and use hashtags because that also enhances the possibility to be seen.
And do you have also some practical suggestion on how often you should post per week?
Well, as I said, the Twitter is really, you just need to be really active there, and there's no rule of thumb that this is the amount you have to post to stay relevant. I've read that sometimes over 10 times a day is the minimum, to stay relevant, but that will take all day.
Wow, yes.
Yeah, so that must be some really social media experts, what they have to spend on Twitter to be relevant. But I think for a young researcher, just once a week and pick up from that. Just retweet something if there's nothing for you to say. Find something that someone else has said and use that, and maybe comment on that when retweeting. And those are really, really good ways to post, to just retweet other people's thoughts.
Yeah, then there was this other point that I had in mind about the enlarging your network. Because especially now we were not allowed to be in presence for conferences. I personally started to speak more with other people on Twitter, and I build up some not really collaboration, but exchanging some idea, and hopefully they will lead to collaborations. My point is more, you can use Twitter indeed for starting this collaboration, starting to know better a researcher, and they can lead to concrete collaboration.
It's really nice to hear a concrete example of actually something collaboration happening in Twitter, and it's not just this. I'm putting tweets out there and they'll just disappear, and you can actually make real things happen, like collaborations. And like you said, these COVID times are very strange, so it's nice that the ways have changed how to meet up with colleagues, even virtually.
But what will happen once we will be back a bit like the previous, let's say, life?
I would say there's no going back. We have all learned this virtual way of communicating and working and collaborating. So I don't think we're going back to that we're not using these platforms to meet up, to get to know each other, to start these collaborations. But how do you feel now that we're getting out of this situation?
I feel that we are not going back indeed. It's like Probably in the future, when we will go to conference in present, there will be this time for coffee break and making your networking, but it doesn't mean that you don't chat on Twitter as well. So it's actually is a kind of prolonging your discussion, I would imagine. Before it was more or mostly, let's say, during conferences, and then we were exchanging emails. Yeah, also something on Twitter, of course, before, but now it's much more. So maybe you arrive to a conference, you have already discussed about some idea, and during the conference you just carry on discussing.
Yeah, so it's kind of this hybrid conversation, maybe.
Yes, it's a kind of, let's say, I don't really see, it depends on people, but I don't really see the barrier is a kind of the same. So it can be a bit virtual, a bit in present, and again virtual.
Yeah, and I think it's really fun. And
I have another question, a bit more, let's say, technical on the tweet, because so now the tweets are limited to 280 characters right now. So then you need to be very concise. I would like maybe some more comment from you about the advantage to learn how to deliver a message in a short way.
Well, Twitter is full of new content for the user, so that's the other thing besides the 280 characters, that because the reader or the user sees so much this content, so you must kind of capture the reader to stop them to read the whole thread you make in Twitter. And that's why it's good talent to be concise and use really clear language about your article, and it really is a talent, because like you said, some researchers might think, well, I just use this term here because it's shorter, but then the reader doesn't understand it, and he or she is scrolling through the page and there's so much content, and she or he stops with the tweet about the research, and it's like, I can't understand it, I'm just gonna post past it. So that's why, even though you make a couple of tweets, this kind of threads where the tweets are like, how do you say it, like connected to each other, yes. It's not as bad as making one tweet that is full of information that no one can get anything out of.
If I understand well, you are saying it's better maybe to have multiple tweets or one tweet and then the relevant thread with comments, more concise, rather than making a big effort and packing everything in one big tweet, which is too complex. Yeah, because once you got the attention of the reader, you have made this first tweet that is really captivating, and you have caught the attention. The thumb has stopped, scrolling. That you have the attention now. That then you can start to open the article or the research a bit more, because you have the attention and the curiosity of the reader. So that's why the clear language and the short kind of bullet points are better than just these 280 characters. And if we think about general public, the general audience who are interested in the researcher's topic, I doubt they click the article if they have the thread of the short tweets, because usually the articles are a bit harder for the general audience to understand. So it's nice that the kind of these shorter points have been lifted for them. So that's why it is important to, of course, link the article there, so you can show that this is actually happened. This is not just some random thoughts, but keep in mind that the points should include the most important things, because the general public, the user that's not a researcher, probably won't click the article itself. So that's why think about the general audience first when tweeting about your article. A kind of helicopter view, a bit more generic. So try to say something that is understandable for everyone.
And it is actually a skill. It's not automatic that you can talk about your researcher from a point of view of someone who isn't familiar with the topic. It actually is a skill to be learned to talk about, and that's why Twitter is also a really good place to be active, because I think there you will learn the way of being clear and be precise. And
do you think is like reasonable to make maybe a tweet and then something funny, or maybe also a picture of a fail for your experiment to attract the attention, and then to mix a bit a serious tweet and a funny tweet?
I think personality is a good thing, and usually when you post something funny you show some personality there, and we have researchers here in our faculty that use these kind of GIFs and post these funny and these light tweets among the really research orientated and really serious ones.
We know that if you use social networks, sometimes you can get bad or inappropriate comments. What do you think how we should handle this? Because I don't think they get so many bad comments, but if it happens...
You are right. It's not that common with researchers that they would get a lot of these negative comments. I think it's more for the people in these decision-making positions, politicians and so forth. But first of all, I think the fear of these negative comments and this negative audience is really the really important reason why some researchers just don't want to participate in Twitter, because they're afraid the conversation goes out of rails, and in the way the researcher cannot kind of control. But this is not a reason not to participate, because as I said in the beginning, the discussions will probably take place anyway, so wouldn't it be better if someone who knows about that stuff would be involved in those discussions? But it is rare to have a negative or even this trolling, like fight-picking comments. But if you do, there are a couple things you can do. First thing is to tag your peers into those discussions, so they can kind of back you up, if you have some people who also know about that stuff, so they can have more of the backup. And other point is that you can just ignore comments. It's easier said than done, but you have every right to do so. If there is clear trolling going on, you just don't answer those. Usually if you don't answer, it just stops there. And if it doesn't, there's also the possibility to just block people. If you block someone, they cannot post on your tweets anymore, so it is kind of drastic. But as I said, researchers usually don't get this kind of really trolling and really precise, this just keep posting on every post you make. It's not that common in this field. I don't think that this kind of negative comment is really bad, automatically, because some people may just don't know about the topic and be like, well, I heard that this is true, so why are you saying this thing? So I encourage not to ignore or block right away, but maybe try to. Most people you usually understand when the point of this fight picking has been crossed.
Yeah.
So the discussion itself is not a bad thing, even though the other writing you might be kind of harsh,
Yes. That's it. So thanks a lot, Laura, Maya, for being our guest today, for giving us very insightful comments. This video is a part of a series of videos where we want to understand how to handle social media. So today was about Twitter, and you are our expert for giving advice for Twitter.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks a lot. Don't worry. Just
I'm talking with my hands.
it's my tendency. So if you have some other specific question, you can email us. I will provide also your contact information on the video description.
Thank you. This was fun.
Yeah.